we are making this video so that you will learn more about the basics of investing. When speaking about investment, the first thing that comes into our mind is the stock exchange. What is the stock exchange and what is the role of SEM in the Mauritian economy? We will first ask the public for their opinion on this issue, and then we will have a sit down with Mr. Sunil Benimadhu, Chief Executive of the Stock Exchange of Mauritius, so that we may learn more about it.
The return on investment but shareholders yield.
It is where the issue and trade of stocks and equities take place.
Thank you, Mr. Benimadhu, for being with us today. Can you please explain us what is the role of the stock exchange?
Well, the stock exchange is a very important institution in a country's economy because it fulfills a number of key functions. First, a stock exchange is an organized and regulated platform which allows investors in a country's economy or investors outside of the country's economy to acquire a number of financial instruments which include ordinary shares, preference shares, debt instruments, ETFs, depository receipts, and so many other financial instruments. Then secondly, I think the stock exchange plays a very fundamental role in providing companies that are listed on its platform the ability to raise capital, to fund their investment requirements, to fund their growth. And in so doing, I think the stock exchange plays a catalytic role in fostering economic growth, but also in fostering job creation in a country. And to illustrate my statement, I would like to give you some statistics. As you're aware, the Stock Exchange of Mauritius, now I come more focused towards the role of the Stock Exchange of Mauritius. It was set up in 1989, and over the last 29 years, the companies that have listed on the Stock Exchange of Mauritius have used the SEMS platform to raise a total of about 225 billion Mauritian rupees, which is quite significant for a small country and a small economy like Mauritius. And some of those companies have reinvested a part of the amount raised locally. Some of those international companies have used this money to invest outside of Mauritius in Africa. And this has also helped in confirming the growing role of the Stock Exchange of Mauritius as an internationalized exchange which offers a wide variety of products to its investors, but also a very attractive and compelling platform to its listed issuers to raise capital. From an investor's standpoint, I think in an economy, it's very important for an investor or a saver to have a variety of instruments in which he or she can save or invest. So before the Stock Exchange of Mauritius was set up, most of the savers in Mauritius used only to put their money in bank accounts. But thanks to the creation of the Stock Exchange of Mauritius and thanks to the setting up of a number of other financial institutions in Mauritius, we've seen that these savers or investors have had access over the last 30 years to a wide variety of products. And I think that's very important because investors have different risk profiles. Some investors like certainty, they don't like to lose money at all, so they would go and invest and put their money in bank deposits. Others would want part of their money to be safe, but part of that to be invested in risky assets with a better prospect for growth, so they would go towards, the stock exchange, and that's the role that the stock exchange plays in an economy.
We understand that the Stock Exchange of Mauritius operates two different markets today, the official market and the development and enterprise market. What is the difference between those two markets?
Well, historically, when the Stock Exchange of Mauritius was set up, we started with only one market, which is the official market, which used to be called the main board of the Stock Exchange of Mauritius. And the whole objective of the main board or the official market was to try to attract the well-established chips,
Yeah.
but profitable, highly profitable companies to the market. And this was the case for the first 18 to 20 years of our history. Then in 2005, we realized that the OTC market that we used to operate, which consisted of the shares trading in some of the medium-sized companies, had grown in size and grown in liquidity. So we felt that the timing was right for us to create a regulated platform and transform the OTC platform into a regulated market platform, and that's when we created the development and enterprise market. The main difference between these two platforms are that the main board generally consists of the large companies, of course large by Mauritian standards, and the development and enterprise markets brings together on that platform the medium SMEs, as we call. But we do have a couple of large companies that are also on the development and enterprise market. And then the second difference is that the entry requirements are higher when you want to be on the main board than on the development and enterprise market. Just for illustration purposes, for example, a company that lists on the main board needs to have at least 200 shareholders before it lists, and it needs to have at least 25% of its issued share capital in as free float or in the hands of the public. Whereas for the development and enterprise market, you can come with 10%, or you can even come with less, provided that within a year post-listing you graduate to that 10%. And you need to have a minimum of 100 shareholders, but you can also ask the stock exchange for a waiver whereby we would allow you to list with less than 100 shareholders, provided over a period of 1 year you manage to get to that 100.
Yeah.
So the entry requirements and even the post-listing compliant requirements are more stringent for the official market than for the debt.
Okay. What are the types of stocks that we can buy in SE? Things we can invest in?
Well, as I mentioned, I think today we consider ourselves as a multi-asset class stock exchange, which not only offers an investor equity or ordinary shares as investment products. An investor can of course invest in ordinary shares of a listed company. It can invest, he can or she can invest in preference shares. He or she can invest in fixed income instruments, debt obligations, variable income instruments, because we've got a number of debt issues that have been pegged to different kinds of underlyings, like the repo rate or other types of underlyings. So we also offer our investors the opportunity to invest in those debt instruments. Over the last 3 years, we've innovated and we've brought on board what we also call exchange-traded funds, which would allow an investor in Mauritius, but also international investors investing through the SEN, to have access to exchange-traded funds that have commodities as underlyings, that have indices or indexes as underlyings, and these indices could be like we have two right now that tracks the S&P 500, another ones which tracks another S&P index tracking the largest real estate companies. Recently, we were the first exchange to launch together with some local promoters, the MCB and the African Development Bank, the first ETF that would allow an investor, local but also international, to have an access through a very cost-efficient mechanism and product, access to the sovereign debt that are being issued by different African countries. So that's very innovative. 3 years ago, we also launched an ETF which was in those days very innovative too, which would allow an international investor or a local investor to have access to the sovereign debt instrument issued by the Indian government. We also we listed last year the first depository receipt issued by a Pan-African institution, Afrexim Bank, which gives our investors access to one of the largest Pan-African financial institution operating currently on the continent. We also have funds that are listed, so we have a wide variety of products, and these products appeal to the different types of investors in accordance with their risk tolerance, their risk profile. So the whole idea is to bring in as many products as possible so that we become more and more relevant to our stakeholders. And as I mentioned in my initial introduction, our stakeholders, the two key stakeholders are investors and issuers.
Mr. Benimadhu, what is your opinion on the participation of Mauritian citizens currently in the Stock Exchange of Mauritius?
Well, I think it's been a gradual progress over the years. When we started the Stock Exchange of Mauritius in 1989, I think it was largely a new institution offering new investment products, and I'm pretty sure that most of the people had never heard about it. But I'm happy to note that over the years, because of the new products that we've brought, because of the new companies that have come, the number of Mauritians participating in the stock exchange today has grown. We have hit the 100,000 level, which is pretty decent when you compare it relative to the working population. So it shows that we have a ratio of investors to working population which exceeds, I think, 20% or even more, which is relatively good when you compare that to even countries which have a much longer history of exchange activities like France, Germany, and the rest of Asia, for example. In India, which is a huge economy, the percentage of the population, I don't know the working population, but that whole shares is less than 3%. So we are slowly but surely getting there, but of course, we are not totally happy with that. We want that number to double. And I know that my team is working actively with other institutions like the JCI and so on, so as to get democratize share ownership in Mauritius, get Mauritians to understand what the stock exchange offers as investment alternatives. How do you go about investing in the stock exchange? What are the return potential of a stock exchange investment? What are the risks? Because you have to understand the risk also. So we are working very hard on that front. We've done a number of roadshows. We are going to continue working with different stakeholders to educate, sensitize, and also contribute to financial literacy in Mauritius, which I think is something that is fundamental. And we're also coming very soon with a new website which will have a number of features that will really give investors a lot of information about what the stock exchange is all about, how to invest and how to go about investing.
Last question, what advice would you give to new investors, especially young individuals who have no idea of what the stock exchange does and how it's important for the economy of Mauritius?
I think it is very important for a young Mauritian to understand what the financial services sector is all about. And as the Stock Exchange of Mauritius is part of the financial services sector, I think it's very important for not only young Mauritians, working population, middle-aged Mauritians, old-aged Mauritians. I think it's important for everyone to know what the stock exchange offers as investment alternatives, what are the opportunities that the stock exchange offers, and then for them, once they are informed, once they discuss with their advisors, then to take informed decisions whether the stock exchange is appropriate from their perspective in terms of their risk tolerance, in terms of their risk profile. So my advice is educate yourselves, understand the different opportunities that the financial services sector in Mauritius offers, including the stock exchange, but also educate yourselves about opportunities that exist outside of Mauritius, because it is the duty of each and every Mauritian, especially the young Mauritians, to prepare for the future. And the only way you can prepare for the future is to understand, what the situation, what the setup currently offers, and how you can, make the most out of what is on offer. So I would advise them, go ahead, talk, educate yourself, meet financial advisors, and learn more about what the Stock Exchange of Mauritius is all about.
I'm sure they will follow your advice. Thank you very much,
It's a
Mr.
pleasure.
Benimadhu. It's my pleasure,
Thank
and
you.
we look forward to having you as our panelist in our event.
Thank you very much.